Men over 60, I need your full attention right now because what I'm about to say may shock you. There is one single vegetable found in every American grocery store that has been shown to begin shrinking an enlarged prostate in as little as 24 hours. Yes, just 24 hours. Think about that. Tonight, you could be suffering through another sleepless night, getting up 5, 6, even 7 times to urinate, exhausted and frustrated. But tomorrow night, everything could feel different. Stronger flow, control, peaceful sleep. No more fear of long car rides, movie theaters, or church services. No more standing at the toilet for minutes, waiting for something to happen. No more embarrassment when you can't finish, and no more quiet humiliation when the dribbling doesn't stop. I know the pain you're carrying, the frustration when your bladder feels full but almost nothing comes out, the nights spent pacing in the dark, praying for relief, the anger you hide when intimacy becomes difficult, or when you're terrified you'll end up needing surgery. The truth is brutal. An enlarged prostate can steal a man's dignity, confidence, and identity. And what hurts most is believing you have no choice but to accept it. That is the lie millions of men have been told. But here is the paradox. The solution your body desperately needs is not another medication, not another prescription that trades one problem for new side effects. It is natural. It is safe. It is powerful. And it begins working within 24 hours. My name is Dr. Mohit Khera, and if you stay with me, I will reveal exactly what that vegetable is and how to use it properly to reclaim your nights, your strength, and your manhood. Before we continue, if this message is already speaking to you, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another life-changing health lesson made specifically for men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And tell me in the comments, type 1 if you're ready to take control of your prostate health starting today, or type 0 if you feel there's something more you need from me. Your voice matters, and I read every message. Now, let's get straight into the truth every man needs to hear. Because to understand how one simple vegetable can begin shrinking an enlarged prostate in as little as 24 hours, you first need to understand what's really happening inside your body and why so many men are suffering in silence. 1. The hidden truth about enlarged prostate, BPH. Most men never hear the truth until it's too late. By the time they walk into a doctor's office, they're already exhausted, drained, and silently afraid. But here is the shocking reality that almost nobody says out loud. An enlarged prostate is not just a medical condition. It is a thief. It steals sleep, energy, masculinity, and dignity. It slowly presses the life out of a man while he pretends everything is fine. You tell your wife you're just tired. You tell your friends you're okay. But deep down, you know something is slipping out of your hands. Night after night, you stand in the dark bathroom, waiting for a stream that barely comes. You stare at the wall, praying for relief. Your legs shake, your heart races, and when the trickle finally stops, you shuffle back to bed knowing you'll be right back again in an hour. You try not to wake your wife. You don't want her to see the frustration in your face or the fear in your eyes. No man wants to admit that his own body is turning against him. What makes it even more painful is believing this is just part of growing older, believing you have to live with it, believing there is nothing you can do. That is the lie men have been taught for decades. Doctors hand out prescriptions like candy, telling you to come back when things get worse. They don't talk about the heavy sadness that settles in your chest when you realize you can't sleep, can't drive long distances, can't sit through your grandson's baseball game, can't be intimate without worrying about your body failing you. The truth is not that you are weak or broken. The truth is that what is happening inside your prostate is driven by inflammation, an invisible fire swelling and tightening around your urethra like a fist. And here is what almost nobody will tell you. Inflammation can be reversed. The prostate can shrink. Relief is possible. A better tomorrow is not a fantasy. It is within reach, closer than you think. But before we talk about the solution that can begin working in as little as 24 hours, you must understand the real reason your flow is weakening and your nights are disappearing. Because once you grasp this next piece, everything else will finally make sense. Let's go deeper. 2. The real reason men over 60 struggle with weak flow and nighttime urination. Here is the shocking truth almost no one tells you. The problem is not your bladder. The problem is not simply age. And the problem is not bad luck or genetics. The real reason you struggle with weak flow, constant urgency, and waking up all night long is because your prostate is silently choking the life out of your urinary channel like a tightening noose. The urethra, the tube that releases urine, runs directly through the center of the prostate. When the prostate swells, it strangles that tube. It is like trying to force water through a knotted garden hose. The harder you push, the worse it becomes, and eventually the body begins to panic. That panic is what wakes you again and again in the middle of the night, jolting you out of sleep with a desperate rush to the bathroom, only to produce a few painful drops. Most men don't understand what is really happening. They think the bladder is weak. They think they are simply getting older. They think it's something they are supposed to accept. But inside your body, something darker is taking place. Chronic inflammation is burning through your prostate tissue, causing it to swell and harden. And with every hour that inflammation continues, pressure builds, the urethra narrows, and the bladder is forced to work harder and harder just to keep you functioning. Eventually, the bladder becomes exhausted and unstable. That's why you feel those sudden urges that hit out of nowhere. That's why you worry about leaving the house. That's why the nights feel endless. It's not just physical pain, it's emotional pain. It's standing at the toilet while your legs tremble, wondering why something so simple has become such a battle. It's pretending to laugh with friends while inside you're terrified you won't make it to a bathroom in time. It's lying awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering how much longer you can live like this. And the cruel irony is this: the harder you fight, the worse it gets, because your body is fighting against itself. But here is the turning point, and I want you to hold on to it tightly. If inflammation is the enemy, reducing that inflammation is the path to freedom. And that's where the secret most doctors never mention comes into play. Because there is a simple, natural solution that begins reversing swelling faster than most medications ever could. And in the next part, I will reveal why so few people ever talk about it and how it could change your life starting tonight. Let's uncover the truth behind the natural solution they rarely discuss. 3. The natural solution doctors rarely talk about. Here's the part that may upset you, and you deserve to hear it plainly. Most men are not suffering because there is no solution. They are suffering because the real solution is rarely discussed. Not in the doctor's office, not on television, not in the glossy brochures about prostate medications. The truth is that there is a natural, safe, powerful approach that can begin reducing prostate swelling without drugs, without surgery, and without sacrificing your masculinity. And yet almost no one tells men about it. Why? Because there is no profit in it, no monthly prescription to refill, no procedure to schedule, no insurance bill to sign. Just nature doing what nature has always done: heal. Think about it. If the only answers were pills and procedures, why do so many men continue to struggle, year after year, even while taking medication? Why do men end up with side effects that steal their energy, their sex drive, and their joy? Why do men feel worse instead of better? The system is not built to cure the problem. It is built to manage it, to silence symptoms temporarily while the real issue silently grows. And while men cling to hope, they are never told that their bodies already contain the power to recover, if only they were given the right tools. I have sat across from hundreds of men who felt broken, who believed they were out of options. Some were athletes in their younger years, some were soldiers, some were proud grandfathers who simply wanted to attend a child's graduation without scanning for a bathroom. They came into my office believing they were reaching the end of the road, and the look in their eyes, tired, defeated, ashamed, still stays with me. But everything changed when they discovered that the answer was not another drug, but a natural source of anti-inflammatory power that begins calming the prostate in hours, not months. This is the part no one warned you about. The body does not want to suffer. It wants to heal. It just needs the right fuel. And what if that fuel was something as humble as a vegetable most men walk past every week without noticing? Because when the right food enters the body, inflammation drops, swelling softens, and the prostate begins to breathe again. And now we reach the moment you've been waiting for. What is that one vegetable capable of beginning this transformation in just 24 hours? Stay with me, because in the next section, I will reveal the surprising powerhouse nature created specifically for men struggling with prostate enlargement, and why it may become the turning point in your life. 4. The one vegetable that can begin shrinking the prostate in 24 hours. Here is the moment that may shock you more than anything so far. Relief does not have to take months or weeks or even days. For many men, it can begin in as little as 24 hours. Imagine that. One day from now, you could feel a difference. One day from now, you could sleep longer, feel calmer, and reclaim even a small piece of your strength back. That is how powerful the right natural compound can be when it reaches the prostate and begins fighting the inflammation that has been suffocating your urinary channel. Not a drug, not a medical procedure, not a lifetime of prescriptions. Just something nature made, simple, unprocessed, and available to every man, regardless of age or condition. Think about what 24 hours means to a man who has been suffering for years. Men who haven't slept through the night in months. Men who stand at the toilet praying for their bladder to release. Men who hide their pain because they were raised to be strong, to endure, to keep quiet. The emotional weight of waiting, of hoping, of being disappointed again and again is almost unbearable. When a man hears that relief is possible in hours, not years, something inside him wakes up. A spark of hope, a belief that he might not be trapped forever, a belief that his life is not over, that he is not defeated, that there is still something he can fight for. That hope matters. It changes everything. And yet, most men never hear these words. They are told to be patient, to accept their symptoms, to get used to waking up 6 times a night. They are told there is nothing they can do except increase the dosage, switch medications, or schedule surgery. But the body responds differently when the cause of the problem is addressed instead of the symptoms. When inflammation drops, swelling shrinks. When swelling shrinks, the urethra opens. And when the urethra opens, the man returns. Stronger, confident, restored. So what is this vegetable that holds the power to start shrinking the prostate so quickly? Something so ordinary that men walk past it every day without knowing what it could do for them. What is this natural weapon against inflammation that the body responds to so rapidly? If you're ready, then let's reveal the answer. And once you hear it, you will never look at your dinner plate the same way again, because this one vegetable may be the beginning of an entirely new chapter in your life. 5. The vegetable revealed. What I am about to tell you may feel unbelievable at first, but I ask you to stay open, because the truth is far more powerful than the silence that has kept men suffering for decades. The vegetable proven to help shrink prostate swelling, reduce inflammation, and restore natural urinary flow without medication is one many men have ignored for most of their lives. It isn't exotic, it isn't expensive, it isn't hidden in a supplement bottle or a secret formula online. It is something you can hold in your hands today, and that vegetable is broccoli, along with its cruciferous family. Broccoli sprouts, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and kale. For years, broccoli has been sitting quietly in grocery stores and refrigerators, underestimated by almost everyone. But inside those green florets is one of the most powerful natural healing compounds ever discovered for prostate health: sulforaphane. When sulforaphane enters the body, it does something extraordinary. It activates your strongest internal anti-inflammatory pathway, helping your prostate release pressure and begin to soften and shrink. It lowers DHT, the hormone that causes prostate cells to multiply uncontrollably. It helps the urethra open so urine can finally flow freely. It begins repairing damaged tissue, and it supports stronger erections by improving blood vessel function. All from a vegetable most men have spent their whole lives pushing aside on their dinner plate. I have seen men defeated and exhausted walk into my office believing they were out of options and walk out with hope, simply because they finally discovered that nature was never the enemy. Men who had not slept through the night in months. Men who were on the verge of surgery. Men who felt ashamed, old, and powerless. And then, within days, sometimes within 24 hours, they returned with tears in their eyes, telling me they finally slept, they finally emptied their bladder, they finally felt like themselves again. It wasn't magic, it was biology. It was the body finally getting what it needed to heal. So now the question becomes, how do you use this vegetable correctly so you don't miss its power? Because there is a right way and a wrong way to prepare it, and most men have been doing it wrong their entire lives. And if you want to feel results fast, the next part is absolutely critical. Let's talk about how to use this vegetable for maximum prostate shrinking power. 6. How to use vegetable for maximum prostate shrinking power. Most men have eaten broccoli their entire lives and never felt any difference. And that leads to a shocking truth most people have never been told. The reason broccoli has never helped you before is not because it doesn't work, but because it was prepared in a way that destroys the very compound your prostate desperately needs. Sulforaphane, the natural molecule responsible for reducing inflammation and shrinking swollen prostate tissue, is extremely sensitive to heat, and when broccoli is overcooked, boiled, or microwaved, that healing power disappears almost completely. In other words, men have been eating the right food the wrong way, losing the relief their bodies were waiting for. But when broccoli or broccoli sprouts are prepared correctly, they become one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory tools available to men over 60. The fastest results come from broccoli sprouts because they contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than fully grown broccoli. Just 1 cup of raw broccoli sprouts can deliver enough sulforaphane to begin lowering inflammation within hours. Light steaming broccoli, keeping it bright green and still crisp, also preserves this power. Adding a small amount of healthy fat, like olive oil or avocado, boosts absorption dramatically, and eating it in the evening allows the body to heal while you sleep, giving many men their first full night of rest in months. I have watched men who were desperate for relief walk back into my office with hope shining in their eyes after trying this simple method. Men who said they were waking up 6 times a night, suddenly sleeping through until morning. Men who said they could finally empty their bladder fully for the first time in years. Men who said they felt a spark of youth returning to their body. And all because they learned how to unlock the natural strength inside this vegetable instead of letting it evaporate in a pot of boiling water. But while broccoli is the most powerful starting point, it is not the only natural weapon men should be using. There are other vegetables, each with their own unique ability to support prostate healing and restore strength, that work even better when combined together. And the next one may surprise you even more. Let's move forward to the second vegetable every man over 60 should begin eating immediately. 7. The second vegetable. What I'm about to tell you may shock you just as much as the first revelation. Even if you begin using broccoli and broccoli sprouts correctly, your prostate will never heal as quickly or as powerfully as it could without adding this second vegetable. Because while broccoli targets inflammation directly, this vegetable works through a different pathway, attacking the hormonal imbalance that is secretly fueling prostate growth. And unless that hormone is reduced, the swelling will continue to return, no matter how hard you fight. This is the part most men never learn until their condition becomes severe, but you are hearing it now, before it's too late. The second vegetable every man over 60 should begin eating immediately is tomatoes, rich in a compound called lycopene. Lycopene is one of the strongest natural protectors of prostate cells ever discovered. It decreases levels of DHT, the aggressive hormone that causes the prostate to expand like a balloon filling with water. When DHT rises, prostate cells multiply rapidly. When lycopene enters the bloodstream, it slows that multiplication and helps reverse the expansion at the source. This is the reason men who eat tomatoes regularly often experience stronger flow, fewer nighttime bathroom trips, and improved confidence in urinary control. It isn't coincidence, it's chemistry. But beyond the science, there is something deeper happening. When men begin to feel improvement, even small improvement, something awakens in them. The heaviness in their chest begins to lift. The fear that has been sitting behind their ribs begins to loosen. The exhaustion built from months or years of nighttime battles and silent suffering begins to fade. I have watched men cry from relief after telling me they slept through the night for the first time in years. Not because they were weak, but because they finally felt hope again. That kind of transformation changes the way a man stands, speaks, and sees himself. That is the quiet victory nature gives back when we learn to work with it instead of against it. Lycopene is most powerful when tomatoes are cooked gently into sauces or soups, allowing the compound to release fully into the body. And when combined with healthy fats like olive oil, its absorption increases dramatically. A small bowl of tomato soup, a cup of tomato sauce, or even a glass of tomato juice can begin changing the course of your nights and your life. And here is where it becomes even more exciting. While tomatoes and broccoli form the foundation of natural prostate healing, there is a third vegetable that takes the process even further, strengthening hormone balance and supporting sexual vitality in ways that surprise even the toughest men. And once you discover what it is, you'll understand why so many men call it their turning point. Let's move on to the third vegetable. 8. The third vegetable. Here is something that may shock you to your core. Even if you lower inflammation and reduce DHT, your prostate can continue to swell if your body is starving for one critical mineral. And most men over 60 are dangerously deficient in it without ever realizing it. This deficiency is one of the silent drivers behind weak urine flow, constant nighttime urination, and declining sexual performance. It's not discussed in doctors' offices, not measured in routine blood tests, and almost never explained to men as the reason their prostate refuses to heal. But without correcting it, progress slows, and suffering returns. That is why this third vegetable is absolutely essential. The vegetable I am talking about is pumpkin, and more specifically, pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin and pumpkin seeds are some of the richest natural sources of zinc, a mineral that the prostate depends on for strength, structure, and hormonal balance. When zinc levels drop, testosterone falls, inflammation rises, and estrogen and DHT begin to overpower the prostate, causing rapid swelling and cell growth. Zinc is like armor for the prostate. Without it, the gland becomes vulnerable, weak, and inflamed. With it, the prostate becomes resilient and responsive to healing. I have watched men who were hopeless find relief simply by adding a small handful of pumpkin seeds each day. Men who believed they were headed towards surgery suddenly reporting that their stream was stronger, their urgency was calmer, and they were sleeping longer without interruption. The emotional shift is remarkable. A man who feels control returning to his body is not the same man he was a week before. His shoulders lift, his voice steadies, his eyes carry light instead of worry. For many men, this small daily habit becomes a symbol of strength, a quiet reminder that they are not victims of age but leaders of their health. Pumpkin seeds work best when eaten raw or lightly toasted, never heavily roasted or salted. Just one small serving per day can dramatically support hormonal balance and help reinforce the anti-inflammatory work of broccoli and tomatoes. Some men even describe a noticeable improvement in sexual energy and confidence within days, once zinc begins restoring what time and stress have taken away. But the journey doesn't end here. Because while pumpkin gives the prostate strength, the next vegetable does something even more extraordinary. It improves blood flow and oxygen delivery to the prostate itself, unlocking a level of healing that many doctors never mention. And for men struggling with both urinary and sexual performance, this next vegetable can feel like a turning point they thought they would never reach again. Let's move forward to the fourth vegetable. 9. The fourth vegetable. What I'm about to say may surprise you even more than anything you've heard so far. Many prostate problems are not just caused by inflammation or hormones alone, they are made dramatically worse by poor blood flow. When blood can't move freely through the pelvic region, the prostate becomes starved of oxygen and nutrients. Tissue becomes stiff and swollen. Healing slows to a crawl. And symptoms like weak flow, painful urgency, and nighttime urination become nearly impossible to escape. Most men never realize that their prostate is suffocating from the inside out, struggling to repair itself but unable to because circulation has been blocked for years. And this is where the fourth vegetable becomes a breakthrough most men never expect. The vegetable I'm talking about is pomegranate, and while some people think of it as a fruit, what matters is its extraordinary medicinal power. Pomegranate is packed with natural compounds that open blood vessels, increase oxygen delivery, and restore healthy circulation to the prostate and surrounding tissues. When blood flow improves, inflammation can drain away. Nutrients and healing compounds finally reach the damaged cells. The bladder regains strength, and the prostate begins to relax, soften, and shrink. I have seen this transformation with my own eyes. I've watched men who could barely empty their bladder suddenly feel relief they didn't think was possible. Men who said they felt trapped inside their own bodies suddenly describing a feeling of freedom. Men who whispered to me, after months of silence, that they were intimate with their wives again for the first time in a long time. That is the emotional power of restoration, not just physical improvement, but the return of identity, dignity, and connection. For men over 60, a daily serving of pomegranate juice or pomegranate seeds can be life-changing. 6 to 8 ounces of juice, or a small bowl of seeds, is often enough to make a noticeable difference. And when combined with broccoli, tomatoes, farros, and pumpkin seeds, circulation, inflammation control, and hormonal balance become a united force. And yet, we are far from finished. Because while pomegranate strengthens blood flow, there is still another vegetable, a fifth one, that plays a crucial role in reducing the spasms and muscle tension around the prostate that restrict urine like a tightened fist. Most men overlook it completely, unaware that one small habit could release pressure they've carried for years, and once you discover it, the path to peace becomes even clearer. Let's move to the fifth vegetable. 10. The fifth vegetable. What I'm about to say may surprise you because almost no men realize how powerful this simple food can be. Sometimes the prostate isn't just swollen, it's being squeezed from the outside by tight, inflamed muscles surrounding the bladder and pelvic region. When those muscles tense like steel cables, urine flow weakens, urgency increases, and the prostate is trapped under constant pressure. It doesn't matter how healthy your bladder is. If those muscles remain locked, relief will always feel just out of reach. And here's the shocking part. One common vegetable has the power to relax that tension, calm the muscles choking your urinary channel, and restore the natural rhythm your body has been fighting to reclaim. That vegetable is carrots. Carrots contain powerful carotenoids and antioxidants that support smooth muscle relaxation, reduce oxidative stress, and help the tissues around the prostate loosen instead of clenching. When those muscles relax, the bladder can finally empty, the urethra opens wider, and the prostate is no longer being crushed from the outside. For a man who has spent years straining, pushing, and praying for relief, that release can feel like taking a breath after being underwater too long. It may sound simple, but simplicity is often where healing hides. 1 carrot a day, raw or lightly steamed, can begin reducing tension and strengthening bladder function in ways most men never expect. I have listened to men describe the moment they noticed they could urinate freely again, not forcing it, not waiting, not shaking or straining. One man told me he stood there in disbelief because the stream was strong and steady for the first time in years. Another said he cried quietly in the bathroom because he realized he might not need surgery anymore. These are not dramatic stories. They are real moments of hope returning to men who thought they had run out of time. A small step, a small vegetable, a massive difference. When you combine carrots with broccoli, tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, and pomegranate, something remarkable begins to happen. The prostate gets what it has been begging for: relief from inside and out. Inflammation lowers, hormones rebalance, blood flows freely, muscles relax, and healing finally begins. But before you start filling your plate, there's something even more important you must know. One vegetable has the power to destroy all your progress, inflame the prostate rapidly, and undo everything you've worked for, sometimes in a single meal. And if you don't eliminate it, nothing else will matter. So let's talk about the vegetable you must avoid immediately. 11. The vegetable you must avoid immediately. What I'm about to reveal may shock you, and for some men, it may even feel uncomfortable to hear. But if you don't remove this vegetable from your diet immediately, everything you are doing to shrink your prostate, every effort, every change, every ounce of hope, can be destroyed in a matter of hours. Because this one common food triggers a surge of inflammation inside the prostate, tightening the urinary channel, increasing swelling, and sending your symptoms into a rapid downward spiral. Many men eat it every single day without ever knowing it's one of the worst enemies to their prostate health. The vegetable you must avoid is spinach when it's eaten in large amounts or daily. Spinach contains extremely high levels of oxalates, crystals that build up inside the prostate and urinary tract, causing inflammation, pain, and even contributing to the formation of kidney or bladder stones. These oxalates irritate the prostate tissue like sandpaper, increasing swelling and worsening urgency, burning, weak flow, and nighttime urination. I have seen men who thought they were doing the right thing, mixing spinach into smoothies, eating spinach salads, adding it to every meal, only to find their symptoms became dramatically worse, almost overnight. They were never warned. They never suspected that a vegetable praised as healthy could be silently destroying their progress. I will never forget the look on a patient's face when he realized that the painful regression he had been experiencing came from something he believed was helping him. He said the moment he removed spinach, relief returned within days. His nights improved, his anxiety eased, he felt hope again. If you are serious about shrinking your prostate, spinach must go, at least for now. And once that barrier is removed, your body can finally begin to heal at full strength. Because now we arrive at the most important turning point, the one vegetable that, when used correctly, can change everything about your prostate health and your future. Let's talk about the single most powerful vegetable every man over 60 needs to know. 12. The one vegetable that can change everything. What I'm about to share may be the most important message you hear this year, because while the other vegetables we've talked about can support healing, balance hormones, improve blood flow, and strengthen the prostate, there is one vegetable that rises above all the rest, one that has been scientifically shown to dramatically reduce inflammation, lower DHT, restore urinary strength, and help shrink an enlarged prostate faster than anything most men will ever be offered in a doctor's office. A vegetable so powerful that some men feel relief within just one day, and yet most men have never been told to eat it. That vegetable is the humble beet. Beets are nature's nitric oxide powerhouse, capable of opening blood vessels, flooding the prostate with oxygen, breaking up internal pressure, and restoring the natural flow that swelling once crushed. Nitric oxide is the spark that allows the prostate, bladder, and pelvic muscles to work together again. Without it, urine becomes trapped, pressure builds, and suffering grows. With it, freedom returns. Beets improve circulation so deeply that many men report stronger urinary flow and fewer nighttime bathroom trips after their very first serving. They also support stronger erectile performance, which is often the first silent casualty of prostate enlargement. When blood flows freely, a man feels alive again, confident, energized, capable. I cannot count the number of men who sat across from me believing they were broken, defeated, too old to recover, only to return days later with tears in their eyes saying, "Doctor, I finally slept. I finally feel like myself again." That is the power locked inside this simple vegetable, not complexity, not a prescription, not a miracle, just the body receiving what it has been desperately asking for all along. So if you are listening to this right now, I want you to hear me clearly. It is not too late. You are not finished. You do not have to accept pain, exhaustion, embarrassment, or sleepless nights as your future. Starting today, fill your plate with broccoli sprouts, tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, pomegranate, carrots, and above all, beets. Remove soy from your life. Give your body the chance to heal. The next chapter of your life can begin tonight. The decision is yours. Choose strength. Choose healing. Choose hope.